What a new month, and of course it is a Thursday, the first of the month of August, and this is where we are going to be doing a lot of discussions and a lot of activities also happening this month as well. And this is sort of going to be another busy month in the world of sports. This is for the primary schools, and the co-curricular activities as well also really shall be happening this month, and this is on the 3rd. We are going to be seeing the MDD Cultural Festival for Rural City, where the primary schools will be competing from the two divisions already that also really represent the city in there, and they will be competing to represent the city at the regional level in there. And that's something also really which will be happening this week, and so that will be on 3rd. And today we shall be seeing also really primary schools commencing with their ball games, and Benson Pastore will be joining us also some few minutes away from now, and he will be painting us that image of how the primary school games will be going on. But also, first things first, allow me to welcome you on board in a special way. From wherever you are watching us from, I want to say thank you so much. Good morning as we start off our day, and it is a Thursday, and this is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV that comes your ways every Mondays to Thursdays. And I must say, we are already proud and in the mid of the week, because if you look at Thursday, you are just counting one day and some hours into the weekend, and usually the weekends are actually a point of excitement to many who feel they are going to be relaxing with their family members, they're going to be relaxing with their friends, they're going to be relaxing also really away from work, also duties in there. But we are saying we remain committed to keeping you informed across all times, because talking about being informed, we have news bulletins that run the whole week, and all that is to make sure that you as the viewer is informed of what is happening within your vicinity. And that is why we are always here. And now to begin off our discussions from within West Nile, and yesterday was yet another shocking day where we did see lightning strike also really injuring some pupils. This is in Nebi, and this is where we are saying with the return of the rains, many could also really be excited as well that also they're now having the rains, because a few months ago many were actually fearing that we would have that is devastating heat waves here. But what we did see was change, where we witnessed rains, but now we also seeing the rains returning across the whole country. And that is where we are saying you as the viewer must make sure you utilize the rains, but we must also encourage our children to desist from tendencies of sitting or standing under trees because of the rains, if at all they also want to be safe, because some of the schools lack the lightning conductors, and that's how it becomes very much dangerous to control the lightning in case it also happens. So, and that's why we're saying we must continuously talk to our children and remind them that also really sitting and or standing down and playing under the trees or open grounds is not necessarily well, and they must also desist from those tendencies as we are witnessing rains, because it may not be well for them, and that would also subject them to absolute also dangers in there. And that is one thing also which I feel I need to keep you reminded of right away from what happened in Nebi, which is really a shocking state. But we must also really pray for these children who are about 77 who got also really struck that's by the lightning in there, and now about 77 pupils, that's of primary school age, we are struck by lightning. That's at the Wake of Primary School in Diuseb County in Nebi District on Wednesday afternoon. And this is something we did see happening, and according to an eyewitness, the lightning struck the pupils while they were playing football. And this is where we are saying staying in open grounds. For instance, the football grounds is not well, and children must avoid playing during this rainy season. And this is not the very first time we are seeing lightning strikes already doing havoc on the children while they are playing. And recently we saw where many also died. But we are saying these are things we must continue talking to our children, avoid that, because if we do not also take them, then we must take the cane and to also push them out of the fields. As teachers, it is our responsibility now to make sure that we do so, because if at all we do not do that, then we are going to be seeing the children who may not also really be able to be in position to listen to what we are saying, also really continue with their playing. And that is something which at the end of the day may subject them to what we call absolute suffering, which may not be well, because look at the 77 who are injured. Most of them are now being admitted, but we continue to pray for them to also get a quick recovery in there. And that is something also which we say is happened, and we must also continuously talk to the children in. And now the pupils hail from different primary schools of Owilo Ogalo and Padel Omoyo, with also Oweko hosting the playing school games in there. And that is already something we did see, and this means the teachers, as we are witnessing the ball games also returning, we must make sure when there rains, we take the children to classrooms that also have the lightning conductors. We should not allow the games to continue just because we want to see the games end within the stipulated period of time. We may have additionals, which okay, and this is only where the schools now must make sure when there rains, they send their children back to classrooms and so to keep them safe, so that they only return to the fields after the rains ending in there. Now, one of the residents of Oweko Center, Mr. Peter Okaba, told also journalists that he had a loud bang with sparking also a bright light, which also shortly had an alarm and children crying. It means that only they were in pain, and that's something also which we say must also really be given keen interest to, because if at all we not give keen interest to issues of lightning and with the return of the ball games, because Arua City also really, in particular our Center Division will be commencing their ball games today, and Benson, as I said earlier on, will be joining us shortly and to paint us that image of how exactly these activities will be going. And in the rural areas, most pupils play football barefoot, and that is something also which also may be in position to also avoid present the children to tendencies of lightning in there, something also which we now want to encourage the schools to at least buy fair plays for their children, because today these cheap shoes cost less than 10,000. We can buy them also as fair plays for the children to play with, because in this era really we do not expect children to play barefoot. And as parents, we should also take the initiative of supporting our children, because this child you are buying a football boot may be the one who may also play football, and at the end of the day take care of your responsibilities and also raise your flag high, because today we have seen football is not only a sport for playing or for pleasure, but it is business. And today we are seeing a lot of the young people being employed in the sports sectors. Footballers are earning a lot of money. What about the agents? They are also earning a lot of money as well, and that means the talent must be groomed and developed right from earlyhood stages in there. And this was actually called for President, that is Engineer Moses Hashim Magogo, who made this call also recently as he was touring the nation in, and Arua City actually made that call for early talent identification and early talent grooming. And how are we going to be grooming the talent? We are saying we must make sure that we buy the shoes for the children, so that also the children who are playing have the guts of playing the football and also get used to playing football, that's with boots in there, so that certainly when they grow up, they do not find difficulties of playing football with the boots, because at many times we have seen people who play well barefoot, but when you bring them to playing with the football boots, it becomes difficult for them. So it means they are not groomed well. That's all to play with the football boots in there. And that is something also that would also be as a point of failure for them, because at the end of the day, it reaches a certain stage where the child who may be talented may not be in position to play barefoot in there, and that is how the rules may determine. And that's something also which I feel parents must support their children in this era of rainy season in there, because if they are going to be moving barefoot, science also has it. Definitely electronics also that move underground are going to subject them to lightning, because that is something also really where science very much talks of. And the rural areas, most people play barefoot, and when lightning also really strikes, definitely it affects them in, and that's sort of some common incident where we have witnessed that happening in Erusi and in some counties during the rainy seasons in there. What should the teachers do? The teachers must take individual responsibility of making sure that their children, I mean the pupils of their schools, do not engage in playing, that is during the rainy season. So as the rains are falling, then we should not allow them to go to the football pitch, because first of all, it is also really a point of health risk, because really malaria is also really some reason also which we have also really often told children that also when we're subjecting them to cold, it actually becomes easy for them to contract, that is the disease in there. And that is something also which we must continuously advocate for. And we are saying we should not allow the children continue playing, that is on rain in here. Now, she identified the critically injured as Rose Airoth, a teacher from Owilo Primary School, Gloria Aterio Mungu, Linet Pima, Bridget Mikchap Paroth, we have Xavier Afoyoroth, we have none other than Marvin Paroth, all pupils from Omoyo Primary School who are now receiving treatment at Nebi General Hospital in there. Now the LC3 chairperson for Ndiu Sub-County, Mr. Bosco Okwai, say the pupils reported from different schools and we are playing school football during also already where we did see them participating in football and netball, and Omoko, that was at our Oweko Primary School playground before the lightning striking in there. And now he adds that during the rain showers, all the schools who reported for football and netball competitions took pupils also to shelter in host school, and he said one of the teachers was also struck as well in this incident in here. Now remember, this is the very first time we are seeing such incidents happening, and in September 2023 strike, also the lightning strike, also killed 3 children and injured 1 in 2 separate incidents in Western sub-region, where we did see Fahad Bangutu, a 12-year-old pupil of also Lodonga Black Primary School, and Zaidin Ayub, a 9-year-old, that's a primary school pupil from the same school, were struck as they were boiling water at the kitchen, also at home in there. And similarly, a 12-year-old Suraya Ayub sustained injuries as 16-year-old boy identified as Sabir was struck dead by lightning, that is at Kebiri said in Kenya Ward in Central Division last year, and that means we must take safety precautions. What are some of the maybe safety precautions somebody may be asking and also interested in knowing? We are saying when it is raining, never use a cliff or rocky overhang for shelter, and healthy experts have also advised that one must immediately get out away from ponds, lakes and other bodies of water. And this is also if at all lightning finds you, if rains find you on the water bodies, you must make sure at least you move out of the water bodies, because it may become easier for you to be shocked by rains. Now, one must also stay away from objects that conduct electricity, and this is sort of one of the safety requirements which have also been encouraged in there. And one of those objects is the barbed wire fences, power lines and windmills. That is also where sometimes you see when it is lightning, the powers are switched off, and I've seen this quite common with KOKOLIRIKO. But I want to say we need to also applaud them as we get to finally connect the national grid. And this is something also which we must also talk about, because when you talk about rains, and then definitely you will be able to realize that many times we cannot talk about issues pertaining lightning, but we can avoid these deaths, we can avoid these injuries. How possible is that? We must also obey the SOPs or the rules and regulations that are in place in relation to lightning. And one of those is we must avoid standing near objects that conduct electricity, for instance fences, for instance power lines. We must avoid standing underneath them. And then secondly, we should also really avoid standing under big objects, for instance trees. That is where we are going to be avoiding ourselves from being killed by lightning. And thirdly, if it is raining, we must keep the learners. This goes to the teacher, and this goes to the learners as well. We should keep the learners also really under areas where they are safe, and that would also really prevent them, first of all, from being killed by the rains in there. That is something which I feel at the end of the day, I should also really let you know as the viewer in there, because we remain committed to informing you, and that is also something at the end of the day that will be summarizing what happens also really in there. That's in Nebi, and we shall be returning back with stories from Western Sub-region later on. But now let's jet in nationally. One of those issues that have been also really a debate of also really concern is electoral reforms. And remember, we are just left with about 16 months to the next general election, that is of 2021. We are just counting 16 months now. But how ready are we as a nation in undertaking these elections? And yesterday we did see civil society organizations in Western Sub-region advocating for the reforms ahead of the 2026 general elections. And remember, EC recently came out to warn that also really against pushing for these reforms. And that's something also where we did see Simon Peter Biabakama Justice, the head of Electoral Commission, also really coming out to say the country is also going to be undertaking, but not at this moment. But many people continue to advocate for also the electoral reforms. And one of those areas where the reforms are very much paramount is the lies in line with also the voter education. Because if the voters not know what exactly they are going to be doing, then definitely they wouldn't be understanding why it is very, very much important. And yesterday we had a meeting where the civil society organizations from Western Sub-region converged. That is in one of the towers in Arua City, that's Noluko, where this was at Countryside Hotel, which we did see also really attracting a number of the civil society organizations from Western Sub-region coming out to deliberate on issues pertaining the next general elections. That is all to make it peaceful. And one of the messages that this Boko made forward and also advocated for, is the issue of reforms. And when I talk about reforms, it means we must get ready for what is happening in 2026, because many are now anticipating that we may have likely a tougher election, and also really one that may be very competitive, because looking at also really what is happening now, because the Electoral Commission has not officially issued the guideline for people to go on campaigning, but we are seeing them actively now campaigning. It means the electoral reforms would actually be better for them to also really avoid these also issues where we may see loss of lives or maybe destruction of property, and also really many people also really falling, that's really into the wrath of the law happening in there. And that is also really where now most of those people who are eyeing different positions are already campaigning underground, and that is something also really where many stakeholders from Western Sub-region are now advocating for these reforms. First of all, that is to make sure that the elections are peaceful in relation to how the voter registrar can be also really, maybe let the public know. That is also where those people who are planning to vote should be sensitized and should be also really educated on their rights, because many times people do not know what to vote, and that is how at the end of the day they vote their bad point to office. And with the issues of monetization of the politics, that is also another issue that came out, that many times people now have mindset of voting for those who have given them the money, and that is quite common. And this is one thing also really where now the people had to be sensitized and becoming as electoral observers. And remember, we have to be election observers. Each and everybody must take keen interest, and this is really where if you want to become an election observer, you will be able to solely apply for this as now. And that was one of the calls that did come out clearly from the engagement in there, and that is something also really which I feel should be given keen interest to, because at the end of the day, if at all we want to become election observers, we want to tell the stories of what exactly is happening in the election time. As journalists, we must start also really preparing now. We must start also really applying for this also now, for these opportunities, because sometimes we see certain gadgets being banned from within the election also areas. For instance, the smartphones are not allowed, cameras may not be in position to be allowed, but we are saying as journalists our safety is very, very much key, and that is where we must start preparing now. And one of the journalists who actually represented made this call that also really he is anticipating a tougher election. This is Covin Echeta, who also represented the journalists in there, did actually make out that call for journalists to start working together. This will also really make sure that also they work also and achieve their mandates of their rights be not being violated, because within election periods many times we see journalists becoming source of target to many people, and this is in relation to issues pertaining how they do their work. And sometimes people become concerned about the works that journalists do, and others feel journalists are taking sides, and that is how it becomes very much difficult for them. And that's how at the end of the day we see the rights of the media practitioners being violated by security agencies, by also the member groups of other political groups, and then other supporters. We see their rights being violated. We see their rights being battered, and this is something also really which we are likely to see ahead of 2026 if at all the reforms are not done, if at all people do not understand what exactly they're supposed to be doing. And that is where it becomes very much important for the journalists to understand what exactly they are supposed to be doing. And then the security agencies as well need to understand what exactly they are supposed to be doing, and that would also really make sure as we get closer to 2026, with just 16 months to go, each and everybody would understand their mandate, and that would also really make sure that they respect each other's mandates. And that is something also really which we need to look forward. And as the viewer, how do you anticipate the 2026 general elections? Is it going to be worse than 2021? Is it going to be harder? Is it going to be harsher? Are we going to be seeing it more stricter? These are all things solely where I need you to say your opinions on. As the viewer, feel free to drop that comment in there, and I will be in position to read it through as we get back from the short commercial break. We are going to be running for a short commercial break, and this is still the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV channel 477 on Star Times, on 0073 on Zuku, and online across all our social media platforms, where you can be able to also watch us each and every time and anywhere across the parts of the world. And this is quite simple. All you need to do is have a gadget that is connected to the internet and search West Nile TV, and you'll be in position to watch us us across all our social media platforms on YouTube, on Facebook, and on X, and not forgetting on TikTok as well. We are all there across all the social media platforms to keep you informed, updated, and also in the know of what is happening within your societies and international India. We take a short commercial break as we return back with Benson Pastore joining us, and we shall be letting you know of other stories happening across the region and internationally as well. We take a break.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
The Miss Uganda 2024 Grand Finale is here! 28 finalists, one crown. On Saturday, 3rd of August at 8 p.m. Sheraton Hotel. True Ugandan beauty will be spiced up with glamour and entertainment from the legendary Maddox Sematimba, the popular Abe Kabad and Jackie Chandiru. The show will broadcast live exclusively on Makula Chika on Star Times at 8 p.m. Come, let's celebrate Ugandan beauty. Sponsored by VNA, Alemzed, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Dress Textiles and U Home. Miss Uganda 2024, True Ugandan Beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
The Miss Uganda 2024 Grand Finale is here! 28 finalists, one crown. On Saturday, 3rd of August at 8 p.m. Sheraton Hotel. True Ugandan beauty will be spiced up with glamour and entertainment from the legendary Maddox Sematimba, the popular Abe Kabad and Jackie Chandiru. The show will broadcast live exclusively on Makula Chika on Star Times at 8 p.m. Come, let's celebrate Ugandan beauty. Sponsored by VNA, Alemzed, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Dress Textiles and U Home. Miss Uganda 2024, True Ugandan Beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Well, good morning, the viewer of West Nile TV. We are back with the KOKOLIRIKO live show on Star Times channel 477, and one takes a pleasure to welcome you on board from wherever you're watching us from. It could be here within West Nile sub-region, in Acholi, in Lango, in Karamoja, and northern Uganda entirely. We say thank you so much. For those of you watching us in central, western, eastern, and the other parts of the country, we say also really a good morning to you, and we are back to keep you informed of what's happening also really within Uganda and internationally. Later on, we shall be jetting in there, and all this is to keep you informed as the viewer, because we remain committed. Benson, a very good morning to you. Most welcome on to the show.
Good morning, Faris. Good morning, the viewer who is catching us from any place in the world. Because I continue to say that West Nile television is not only for the people, for the viewers we have been within the West Nile region. It cuts across. Anywhere you are cutting us from, you are most welcome. First, there are so many things. The good thing is we are already into a new month. That is the month of August. I know so many things have already started to transpire, and they will still continue to transpire. Like you said, my name is Oraku Benson Pastore, one of the soccer panelists for West Nile Television.
Benson will be delving into a discussion in relation to what is happening in the world of sports a few minutes from now, but we are saying, Benson, for those of you watching us within Buganda sub-region, yesterday there was the anniversary, that first anniversary of the king, that is of Buganda Kingdom. That's something we did see happening yesterday, but he wasn't able to also really make a public gathering with other people, but he was able to communicate virtually. And remember, the king has been also sick. That's Ronald Muwenda Mutebi II, and that is where we also really want to say congratulations to the people of Buganda Kingdom upon that milestone, and we pray for also the king to get better, because recently he has been in Namibia, and he was also at one time in Germany undergoing treatment, but now he is fully in Uganda. But that's sort of something where we did see him celebrating the 31st anniversary of being the king of Buganda in there, and that is why we want to say congratulations to the people of Buganda at large, because we have people who may be watching us in Buganda and different parts of Gomba. We may have people who are watching us from Masaka. We may have people watching us from Kampala, in other areas. Remember, Buganda is actually quite big, and we want to say congratulations, and we pray also really for the king to get better from West Nile TV in there. Benson, yesterday we were also really for other engagements. I remember we really understand also we attended the CSO's engagement, and one of those issues is pertaining elections. Benson, I want you to tell me how you think the elections of 2026 are going to be compared to what happened in 2021, because in West Nile sub-region and now the CSOs are actually advocating for reforms ahead of the 2026 general elections, something which I feel is actually important. We need to make some of these guidelines before that time. We need to make sure the voters understand what they're supposed to be doing and at what time. Because people may want to vote, but at the end of the day, they do not know what exactly to do, and they not vote. And they think voting is actually for people who are there.
Yeah, exactly. It needs sensitization, which of course has already started. We have seen so many stakeholders being engaged in the activities of how we can actually make the general election of 2026 to be a better one. That's why you see all over sensitization is going on. I think it was a very good initiative being taken to see that the stakeholders, of course, will have to be engaged, sensitized ahead of the elections. It's true that some people, of course, they really don't have any knowledge about those elections, about voting, and it's the right of the leaders to see that these people, they are sensitized such that everything can go on smoothly. Very true. Some voters, we may be talking about elections, voting. Do they know? Do they have any knowledge about voting? Do they have any knowledge about elections? Some of them, you see, there are some people, some voters, they go for elections minus even knowing their candidates. They just go there because others are going without guidelines. I think this is the right time. The good things, we are still left with a year plus some good number of months for the leaders to sensitize these masses such that at that time of elections, at that time of voting, everything can go on smoothly. Every voter will go to the polling station knowing that these were the things which we are addressed before. I'll be handling things like this. I know they are trying to picture something such that the upcoming general election of 2026 will at least add value.
Based on talking about the 2026 general elections, some of the areas have now been identified as hotspots where we may likely see do or die. I either win or they lose also happening, because that was the scenario where we did see also happening while in school. Other schools say we either win or they lose, and this is something where we may see happening. What are some of those areas which you feel have been identified as hotspots where we may see leaders not wanting to lose, be it by force or through peace? You know, first tell me, how do you pay that image of 2026 in some of the areas within West Nile sub-region? Do you think we are likely to see peaceful elections? Don't you think we may see a lot of petitions coming from West Nile?
You know, something to be done with the elections, voting is always something you will always expect the petition part of it there. First, the fact remains, in our generation, when we are teenagers, elections used not to be like this. Things are changing. We are now into a modern world, dynamic world, where things continue to change each and every time. That's why, of late, we have seen some of the parties coming up with the electronic systems of registration. Yeah, it's true that there are some areas where, of course, it will not be in an easy way. Now the role is in our hands. The role is in our hands as the voters. The role is now into the hands of the leaders, as I had said earlier on, to see that they actually sensitize not only for the voters, not only the masses, also the people who are aspiring, also the leaders whom people are going to vote. It's just all about that along that area to see that
Benson,
the leader.
First paint for us an image. How do you see the 2026 general elections in West Nile?
General election of 2026
Because
in our sub-region.
I will also share with you my thoughts on how I think the elections will be like.
First, the fact remains it will not be something as usual. Why? Because people right now, they have that heart of leadership. And you look at the number of people who are trying to aspire, who have that heart of contesting, who have that heart of aspiring. There are so many. Unlike those days, whereby you will see that there are only very few, maybe 1, 2, or 3 people, candidates aspiring in one position. But of late, since 2021, 2026 is also coming, rumors are circulating that in a position you may see so many people aspiring. That one, of course, clearly shows that the upcoming election of 2026 will not be an easy one. That's what I can say.
Yes, I also want to agree with you, Benson. We are likely to see 2026 general elections not being easy, as you have said, because we are going to be seeing a scenario of the theme, I either win or the person loses, because this is something where we are going to be seeing, firstly, we are going to be seeing a lot of money being splashed into these elections. This is one clear anticipation I'm having, because most of the voters are now saying, if you don't give me this amount of money, I will not vote for you, and I will vote for one person who has given me the most money. And this is something which we are going to be seeing also really affecting and jeopardizing the quality of the election, something which I feel.
One thing I also want to understand from you, as from the viewer, is it a very good slogan? Does it sound nice, saying that you either lose or else I win, or else I either win or else you lose? You know, elections, actually, this is a game. It's like a game. You know, in a game, there are 3 things. Some games, they have only 2 things. Some games, they have only 3 things.
Is it the dirty game that we are always talking of? Is it really a dirty game? Because people usually say politics is a dirty game.
No, it's not all about saying that it's a dirty game. It depends on the perception in terms of negativity everyone possesses.
So in your own opinion, do you feel politics in Uganda is a dirty game?
To some extent, I should say to a smaller extent, it's a dirty game, but to a greater extent, it's not a dirty game. Yeah, why am I saying that to some extent it is a dirty game? Because of the activities, negative activities, people also play in it. If they are to also go with the positive activities, of course, I want to be in position to go to the extent of saying that it's a dirty game. That means there are some things I always look at. People play it in a dirty way when it comes to politics. But in some parts of the world, not only in Uganda, but we have seen this one in most of the parts of the world. We have seen elections not going in amicable way. So it's actually the masses, it's actually the leaders who makes elections not to go in a positive way. If you have that mindset of positivity, of course it will go on very well. But if you have that perception of saying that, if you instill that mentality that votings are always not to go in an amicable way, of course that's where you will expect the negativity part of it. Okay,
this is my own opinion, and it is my own opinion entirely in relation to the issue of politics being a dirty game. And I'm going to be saying this without any fear of ever. First of all, the issue of politics of blackmail. I would be able to really go and say Benson is this and that, Benson stole this and that, Benson is a thief, Benson is selfish. All that is part of the politics of also blackmail, which is really not necessarily well, because it undermines development in the region. And this is where we also need to work towards that. And that is where I also want to advise those who are eyeing these political seats. to avoid also the tendency of politics of blackmail. Then secondly, politics of spreading money. That is also another thing that I feel must also be given keen interest, because at the end of the day, people are going to be voting a person who has given them the most money.
Yeah, truly.
And what does this mean on service delivery, and what does it mean on representation? The person, first of all, will take politics as business.
True.
Yes, somebody will take politics as business, knowing that I have the money, I have this and that, I will do whatever it takes. Yeah. People sell buildings, people sell houses, people spend a lot of millions in terms of doing elections. Benson, if you are told you have witnessed what happens during election, you will see people being ferried.
It's true, it's true.
And all these allegations always keep on coming after elections. That is why you see issues of petitions coming on board. And today we also really saying we need to see the process being also really undertaken quickly, because the reforms are very much important in relation to digital transformation. And remember, digital way also really of conducting elections would to me be one of the reforms that would help avoid issues of, first of all, vote rigging, because these issues will always keep on coming from elections. So each and every time we have elections in Uganda, we see people coming out with issues of vote rigging. And today now, recently, the government of Uganda carried out the census, and what I expected them to do at this time is also really now start issuing out the national IDs, because Benson, recently we did see that also being postponed, and now we are moving towards that, because we did see NIRA postponing also the exercise to also really roll out the renewal of the IDs. What does that mean? It means that people who are not going to be getting the IDs may not be in position to also really vote in there, and that is where we expected government to also give money for these reforms to also go on, because we need them. These are very much important also activities that needed to be done before time, because if you look at 16 months, Benson, they may sound very much big, and really 16 months are not very much, and this is only where we are now counting towards the next general elections. And I feel at the end of the day, there's something a voter needs to do, because Benson, each and every person has a role to play in terms of ensuring transparency in the elections, and this is where issues of election observers is very much important. I don't know if at all you'll be interested in working as an observer, but I must say I'm actually interested in wanting to follow this year's elections. But as journalists, usually we become threats to people, and this is where we are also appealing to each and everybody. We are not soldiers, we are non-partisan. We are there to ensure that there's fairness within the electoral process in there, and that is what exactly brings us to on.
First, there is one thing I want to start up with. You know, voting over nowadays is all about splashing the cash, as you have said. But at the end, it comes with numerous disadvantages.
So, that is where I also need to ask you, do the laws permit giving money? Because that is actually said to be bribery. But in Western Sub-Region, it's not all about money. We see other areas, not only in Western Sub-Region. Benson, really, there's one candidate who amazed me, who actually brought salt with this image. And that's really the campaigning. The person went to a factory and printed salt that had the picture.
You see, the funny thing is, there are some people who have failed to understand, define a campaign. You know, people do campaign in different ways, but if you understand the real definition, real meaning of campaign, of course, you cannot go to the extent of distributing sauce, what. So campaign, of course, comes with numerous definitions. First of all, splashing casts. Trust me, of late, you don't splash the cast, you will not get the vote. That's why, to the extent you said, some people, they have already started saying that though we are still left with a year, some months, they have started saying that actually they will be casting their vote, or as their votes, to the candidate, who of course will be giving them the huge amount of money. What does it mean? Of course, if this one reaches into the ears of the other candidate, knowing that this one, of course, is splashing cash in this village, as in this sub-county, of course, you, who is not having the money, but you have got that mandate for the people, the manifestos, you will, of course, feel as if you will not be into the competition anyway.
And where does this put those people who are actually competent and legible, but without the money?
And here comes the disadvantage part of it. Yeah, a candidate, of course, will be splashing the money. And once that candidate maybe goes through, at first, the candidate will first want to recover, equalize. Like a candidate might have sold the houses, you have said, maybe sold the land, he or she acquired. So many things he or she might have lost in the process of campaign. But once we give the chance for the campaign to go through, if we give the chance for the person, the candidate to go through, he also will first want to equalize the other attendance of the service delivery will become dormant. That's actually what we are trying to explain to the viewers. I know our viewers, they are actually the part of the voters. That's what we are trying to explain to them.
And you watching us right now, it is not the mandate of the leaders right from this council level to also really make sure they bring service delivery, maybe build the roads, but they have to lobby for different also really projects in there. For instance, if it is road, then they need to go back within the floors also really of parliament or council to also lobby for that. But it's not their sole mandate to bring development also really in there, and all they need to do is just lobbying. But many of the times people feel it is actually the role of the MP to pay fees for their children. It is the role of the MP to take their children to hospital. It is the role of MP to pay school fees, which is really, really wrong. And that's where we call for mindset change. And the viewer also needs to understand that the kind of leaders they vote actually determines the kind of services they're going to be getting within the area. And as we get closer to the elections, my humble appeal to you who is watching us right now, it could be deep down in Rigo, it could be that side of also really Obongi, also really in some village there, it could be in Yumbe or else within Arua district. We are saying make sure that you vote for the right and competent persons who are going to be listening to your ideas. We should avoid tendencies of voting that I pray with him in the same church, I go with him to same school, he is my tribesmate, he gave me money, he gave me this and that. All this will not bring services to your places, and we shall be remaining as we are. We need to vote for the right people who understand the problems of our areas, who may also really take up the floors and say, this is not happening in my area, and this is what exactly we want. And this is where now we need to start making assessments of what the leaders that we voted right from the council levels have done. You need to ask them now, you were given the chance to vote for us to stay for these 4 years. What have you done? Okay, Pharisee, one thing I don't know if you are aware of it. Do you know that campaigns have started? Yes, they have started indirectly. You find that in funeral places, in worship places, even wedding centers, you see this happening. People have already started preaching the gospel of campaign. And Pharisee, you know, the fact remains of late, without you splashing the cars, you will not get the votes. Why am I saying so? Like we have just been saying that the person who will splash the cars most will be the one to go through. But Benson, at times we have seen people who spent money losing also. We have seen that scenario. Benson, we have seen scenarios of people who had money and used the cash, but did not vote for them. And what does this tell of our voters? You know, the voters, they have got their own people. Yeah, you might be splashing the cash. You know, there are also some things they value. There are some things they value. What is that particular thing I am trying to talk about? What comes, your manifestos. Those are the things. You splash the cash on the other side. You also keep on giving your manifestos, which of course can be able to help the voters. You know, that's every time you go to a place, you are there giving the money, you are there giving the money, minus giving a proper speech, which can actually pick the attention of the voters. That means, what am I trying to say here? When you are giving the cash, of course, you also have to engage people with your speech, your manifestos, what is your plan for them. And you actually brought a vital point here on the table. Truly, the fact remains, people, masses, there are some people, they have failed to understand the roles of our leaders, our MPs, our LCs, our wards, because some people feel that these people, their role is to pay the school fees of their children. Maybe a funeral has occurred, you need to buy sacks of cassava flour, anything has happened, these leaders, of course, will have to contribute. No, that is not their role. Their role is for connectivity, providing the channels, right channels, to see that there is a good service delivery. So that is what we want to tell you as far as the roles of these leaders are concerned. Okay, talking about the next general elections, we are just counting about 16 months now to that period, and to that effect, Electoral Commission has now issued the timelines and the dates solely on which these elections will be going. And according to reports we have seen, this is solely in the roadmap. The general polls for presidential, parliamentary, and local government elections will be held between, that is January 12th, that is to February 9th. 2026, with nominations solely slated to take place between 17th of October, and that's something also to 3rd, that is solely of 2025, for all effective also positions in here. Now the commission will also announce that the demarcation and reorganization of the polling stations solely it will be going on, and this is also where the issues of now the reforms is all about, because based on we have other areas which have now grown in terms of population, because all the centers, because we need to ensure each and everybody votes, and that is where areas that you initially voted may not also be in position to vote now, because the population has grown big, and that's where they need to be broken into smaller centers in there, and that's only where other areas that used to be polling centers are now no longer working as polling centers, and this is where new areas and new demarcations need to be made. That is towards the election.
And we pray that it will work out. You know, there are some people who don't go for voting because of the distance of the polling stations. You may find that in the whole of a division like this, you may find there are very few polling stations, and for some people, start walking from their place, their village to the polling station, it is very far. And sometimes you find that they don't go for the casting, they don't go for the voting. And it's a very good initiative to see that actually they will have to come up with so many polling stations such that people, actually these polling stations, of course, will have to be established close to the people such that the distance is not all that very far, and it will attract the number of voters so many. And in Pharisee, there is also one thing I want to put forward concerning the issue of identification cards. I'm talking about actually the national IDs. I think government, of course, will have to come up with the special IDs when it comes to the period of those elections, because truly there are some people who are not having the national IDs, and for you to vote of late, you need to have you need to hold the identification card of our nation. I'm talking about the ID. I think if I am to be the government, I know I am part of the government, because there are some people who have that perception that the government is actually the president. No, you are the government yourself. I think it will be a very good initiative if they will come up with a special card as a special ID when it comes to the period of elections, such that people who are not holding the national ID currently, they can't be left out. You know, there are some people who are having the heart for voting, but because they are not having the IDs, you find that they are not part of the voting. Talking
about the national IDs, government who had also the plans of doing, though we will be also in that period of having our national IDs renewed, because I do understand that we need to also have the new voters who will be incorporated, and that's where the voter registrar is very much important, and something which also really EC is looking out forward to, because if you look at 16 months, Benson, as I already said, it may sound very much, but these are few months, because looking at in 16 months, there are a lot of activities that need to be done here, a lot of issues that need to be done, nominations, campaigns, and all of this must be done within the 16 months, and that is why today, Benson, you are actively seeing politics, and this is something I must say without fear or favor. People already campaigning, vote for so and so, vote for this president, vote for this candidate. It's happening right now, because at least in most of these engagements, I've been able to move. You see people coming out with issues of parties, and issues of parties and politics also coming out. It means we are not any far away from the next general election. That is where the issues of the renewal of the national IDs also will be going. But I do understand anytime from now we shall be undergoing the renewal of the national IDs, something we must also prepare, must be prepared. But AC also, and need also say, they will just be correcting also the new IDs, that's also in relation to the expiry date. But for those who want to change their, maybe areas, want to change their names, change their date of birth, or maybe date of births, it may not be possible for them, and that's where they need to solely use the other procedure of going through courts in there, because many people, Benson, had errors in their national IDs. I want to say this, but now many also do not know what exactly to do, because it is actually a huge amount of money that's being required for them to, because we did see government also increasing the money from 50,000 to about 300,000. That's something which is solely quite huge for those who may not also be in position to have the national IDs also really changed in there and also edited. That's something also we did see happening.
I don't know. First, now I want us to drive to that Terego, particularly the refugee camp, where I was in Otsia refugee camp, and of course I can confirm to you so many organizations, NGOs, they continue to do a lot of tremendous works when it comes to working in refugee camps, and so many things transpired. And of course, we are only left with a minute to close this particular stanza. I know we'll have extensive discussion about how things are transpiring on that side of Ochia in the upcoming stanza.
Okay, talking about what continues to happen in those camps, we are saying kudos to those organizations that continue to support all these people who are vulnerable, more so the refugee community and those host members, because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we have an impact. And so many projects are being implemented. And yesterday I was able to talk about the Supreme project that just did come to an end, but we did see many people telling success stories about such projects. And this is what exactly we want. We want to see these projects having an impact on that ordinary person, that vulnerable person, that vulnerable woman, that vulnerable grandfather who is trying to look for food, who is trying to look for survival. And that is where Benson will be returning with that discussion later on in the second hour. But for now, we are going to be taking yet another short commercial breather that will be ushering us into the second hour. Stay tuned. My name is Farish Majid. I'm still together with Oracle Benson Pastore as we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
The Miss Uganda 2024 Grand Finale is here! 28 finalists, one crown. On Saturday, 3rd of August at 8 p.m. Sheraton Hotel. True Ugandan beauty will be spiced up with glamour and entertainment from the legendary Maddox Sematimba, the popular Abe Kabad and Jackie Chandiru. The show will broadcast live exclusively on Makula Chika on Star Times at 8 p.m. Come, let's celebrate Ugandan beauty. Sponsored by VNA, Alemzed, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Dress Textiles and U Home. Miss Uganda 2024, True Ugandan Beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back to the short commercial break. We are just 2 minutes after 8 o'clock. And earlier on, we are talking about issues pertaining the elections ahead of 2026, where issues of reforms has always been the demand of most stakeholders, saying at least the reforms needed to be done yesterday, because we are heading closer to the period in there, and without the reforms, that may also really undermine the quality and also really in terms of transparency within the elections. And that is also really how at the end of the day we may see violations of the rights of the citizens during elections. And that's how these people have continuously continued to demand for the issues also really pertaining also really what we call electoral reforms. And now in Toro, we are seeing the leaders and EC members call for electoral reforms, that is to limit campaign funding, and that's really spending issue that we also really feel we need to talk about, Benson. And I feel that is something also really where in just 30 seconds, if you can be able to also really talk about it with issues pertaining spending, what should be done to candidates who are spending a lot of monies during election time? What, in your own opinion, need to be done? Because when you talk about election reforms, definitely issues pertaining spending, to me, needed to be given keen interest to.
Yeah, exactly. The issue of electoral reforms, it has been something, a talking point all over the country, because we only left with 16 months. 1 year, just 6 months. Yeah, of course, the reforms will have to be done. First of all, concerning the issue of overspending by the candidates, I think there is one thing the government, of course, will have to do in the sector of electoral commission. They will have to set a certain limit, a certain standard to see that the candidates don't overspend. Because, like, if there are 3 or 4 people aspiring in the same position, let me say the position of member of parliament, like the other one is overspending, the other one is spending less. Of course, there, directly I should say you are actually buying the votes from the voters. What I can only say is a certain standard of spending the money, splashing the cash, because me, I love using the term splashing, because there a lot of money is flourishing, a lot of money is flowing. A certain amount of, a certain standard, of course, will have to be set in accordance to the certain amount of that money that, of course, will be spent by each candidate.
If, in your own opinion, you are caught guilty giving out money, what should be done to such a candidate? Because that is already voter bribery, which is also against our laws. By the people demanding for reforms, it's not that we don't have the laws. We have the laws.
But
now, what is remaining is implementation.
First, now here comes the process. Here comes the problem. Here comes the challenge part or challenging part of it. How will you know that this candidate is overspending? You know, these candidates, they have got their agents whom they use. Yeah, the candidate might be spending without the government, without the sector of electoral commission knowing, will be spending the money, but so many people will not know, because, you know, most of them, they use their agents to give this money. How, of course?
But you can know, the agents will come and tell you, vote so and so. We are giving you salt here. Because at the end of the day, that's what the voters are going to be demanding. And the voters have a tendency of the Benson demanding. That is where Benson, for you to have any gathering, the Benson, if it is also really within your village, just go and tell them you're going to bring a project. And you need to have a meeting with the people. Anytime from now, you see papers of this caliber moving and people are noting down the name. They're noting down for. People are writing their names for Ambandudiri. People are writing their names for sitting allowance. And
now,
all
first, how will the electoral commission know that a candidate is so and so is spending in this village?
First of all,
does it mean they will have to deploy their workers whenever a candidate is going?
Benson, when you talk about intelligence, it is something where the government cannot be able to fail. It is easier for them to determine who this man is affiliated to, because I am known, if I'm seen, let's say, with you as the candidate, different people know that.
First, do you know that
and still, I will be telling the people, I will not just go and give money and move away. I will still have that message of saying, vote for so and so. That is only common sense. And this is where I want to say, if at all you are held responsible for that, the name of the candidate, in my own opinion, should be deleted from the...
exactly. Truly.
Because the issue of monetization of our politics, Benson, trust me, has affected the kind of leaders we are putting out. Those who have the ideas, those who have the guts of representation, are put out because they don't have the money, and many good leaders out there today have been pushed away because of monetization of politics. And based on that, you really sympathize with some of the candidates who don't have the money, but they have the ideas. When you sit down and start interacting with them, you will just know that this person, if at all, had the chance of representing us. This would have been the best leader, and this would have been person who would also raise our ideas very much high. And that's why today you will know at the parliament also and other leader position issues of corruption are coming out very much paramount, because people need to realize and also get back the monies that they spent during campaigns. Because personally, earlier on I mentioned people spend over 100 millions in elections. Because just for our position, people spend more than that. People are selling houses, people are doing what. All that is something which is undermining our quality of election, and that's where we're going to be.
Just like
we're going to be leaving that aside, and now heading to what happens also really in Parliament, and this is also in relation to Commissioner Sirwanyi, who is one of those who is battling also the censor motion, and this is already against the 4 others who are being also really held and followed for issues pertaining what we call the 1.7 billion appreciation point, which they also really awarded themselves as service awards. Many people actually raised concern, and now the signatures have been raised by the censor motion movers, and one of those is actually from Western Sub-Region, that is Alionio Diayok, and together with Theodore Sechikuwo, who have been traversing the country to also get the signatures to have these commissioners also censored in now. And now interestingly, Benson, Sirwanyi came out to blast the members of parliament from the Soga sub-region who have also already penned their signatures on the censor motion paper as well. What do you think about that? And what do you think about legislators not siding with their colleagues who are also involved and being pinged behind corruption? Do you think at the end of the day it will address the issues of corruption in the country?
You know, this has been a talking show in the whole country in the recent weeks in relation to what is happening in the world of corruption. You know, the issue of censor motion has been a talk show, has been a talking point, because over 1 billion been just as an appreciation of service delivery. It's something, and yet in some of the sectors, people are suffering. You don't see the best of it, and they are saying that, of course, over 1 point something, of course, is going to be given to them as a service delivery, something as appreciation. I think I need to thank to some of the leaders who, of course, have penned the signature. Yeah, this thing, first, trust me, this thing will generate a lot of problems in the parliament because there are two parties. Parties have been split into two. There are some who are against. There are some who have taken the initiative. And the end, like those ones who are against it, they knew that they were going to benefit out of it. But those ones who have taken it, that means they have shown some sympathy to the masses, how, of course, the service delivery, of course, will have to be done. You know, people have got personal interests, people have got different perceptions. That's why I'm saying that it will continue to generate problems in that parliament, because some of the leaders who never penned the signature will feel that they have been actually betrayed. Those ones who, of course, have penned the signature, that is where, of course, the wrangle will continue. That's okay, according to me. Yeah.
Now, Commissioner of Parliament, whom we are talking about, Solomon Sirwanyi, who also doubles as the Member of Parliament for Bukoli County, and that's Bukoli Central Member of Parliament, also has condemned fellow Busoga region MPs for involving themselves in the plan to censor him as Commissioner in there. And together with also really names like Esther Foyochan from Zombo, we do have also Matthias Impuga, also really as well on that. And this is only something which we feel we need to let you know of. And Sirwanyi termed that as hypocritical and selfish, noting also the previous incident where MPs in the sub-region led the drive to overthrow the then Speaker of Parliament, that is Alitola Rebecca Kadaga, in there. And he was speaking also during the commissioning of the shillings 400 million maternity ward at Busowa Health Center 2, which is also constructed in the Busowa Town Council, that's in Bugiri District in there. And Benson, what do you think about that? Coming this incident as hypocritical?
Yeah, it's true. It's something which sounds ironical. Yeah, it happens.
Is it bad for fellow MPs from the sub-region? Let's say I am from West Nile sub-region and I'm the MP of, let's say, County A or maybe County B. But one of my colleagues, let's say you were involved in corruption and I sign against you. What do you think about that? And really, is it an issue of region or it is the issue of the nation now? Serving the region let's say, at the stake of the national issue?
Right now, the fight is all about how we can minimize the situation of corruption. What I know is we cannot eliminate or kick out corruption completely out of the country. We are actually fighting for a way of how we can actually limit the tendency of corruption. Yeah, if your colleague, first, if you have done something wrong, you are my best friend. Will you really go and sit on me, cover me? Will you not point out what you have done wrong? The fact is, if I am on the wrong side and you have come openly, point out on my mistakes, yeah, you are correcting me. If someone is doing the contrary part of it, and you are the friend of the person, or if you are a brother, a relative, you point out the mistake. You are not actually betraying the person. Actually, you are trying to pick the person away from doing something which is nasty. I don't see it as a bad one, because we are all fighting for a way of how we can limit the corruption tendencies in the country.
Okay, the legislators who are the commissioners bagged 400 million each, with Matthias Impuga taking the lead, taking 500 million Ugandan shillings, and that is something that has not been well with the country. Many people have actually expressed mixed opinions about the same matter, where one of the colleagues also really say that she shared the money with the voters, and this was already where that she donated the money to the circles, and this is something which I feel wasn't also really justifiable. But at the end of the day, we are still following up on that matter, and now that the motion movers, that is the State School Group, have now raised the required number of signatures to have this matter be debated on the floor of Parliament. Do you think this matter will go successful? Because this is not the very first time, Benson, we are seeing a commissioner being censored. At one time, we saw Francis Zake being censored, that's of Mtiana, and many others who have been censored on several issues. And now we are seeing this raising a lot of concern and a lot of debate in the public space in there. But how do we make sure that this matter is actually addressed once and for all? Do you think the censor motion movers will now have this issue for once also really success, because now they are successful in terms of getting the required numbers of Parliament, and now this matter will also be included, that is on the order paper through Parliament for Parliament to debate on, and this is where now parliamentarians will either say we censor them or we leave them. Do you think it will take another step from Parliament in there.
And
with the current kind of also this turmoil in the country where young people are protesting against the corruption in the country more so, where they're demanding certain leaders to also liquid their positions.
Of late, Faris, what I've loved most is what always takes place in the Parliament. The public, the masses outside get to know about it. Actually, the masses, in most cases, they are the ones engineering actually the discussions in the Parliament, because in most cases, you hear the complaint from the masses, from the public, before it is given to their leaders. In fact, what always people discuss in the Parliament is actually the outcome of what the fans, or else what the masses, the population discusses outside there. That is the good part of it. I know this thing, of course, will generate problems. I continue to say that's why when I was giving my remarks in the recent minutes, I was basing it along that area. Yeah, it is going to split the parliamentary sitting into two, and this thing will continue to generate problems. I should say the public is actually the party of Parliament. Okay. Only that the people who are sitting there, they are the representatives. They are the representatives. They are the leaders. What I want to say is, if much of the population from the public part of it, they are supporting the other side, of course it will yield fruit. What I want to say is, this thing obviously will yield fruit, because the way I'm seeing, the way I've been observing in the recent weeks, in the recent months, much of the population from the public, they are actually against it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is it, Benson, in relation to the issue of the censor motion we are following up, and we hope at the end of the day it will be able to move another step, because they have moved the first step. Now another step, it will be in Parliament, where the legislators will either say we are in support or we reject the commission as being censored. And what do you think exactly will be happening with also what is happening in the country, where the voters are actually demanding a lot from their representatives at Parliament? That is where the march to Parliament is always coming about. What do you think about the whole scenario?
You know, Farsi, what I want to say is this
do you think it will go successful? Do you think the legislators will also have this commission as being censored?
This thing has come at the wrong time. Well, trust me. This
to
thing
who? On whose side? Is it on the voter side or these commissioners?
On the side of the commissioners. Yeah, first of all, we have started counting it down. Normally, the countdown starts from the time these leaders, they have sworn in. Right now, it's going extreme with the only very few months now remaining. It has come at the wrong time, at the wrong moment for the leaders, because right now, the fans, the public, the masses, they are protesting against corruption, and there are some people who have not taken the initiative. I am talking about the leaders. They have not taken that initiative of fighting against corruption. You know, fighting against corruption comes in numerous ways, not only in one way. There are we have to understand that some of us, the public, there are some people in the public there who have that knowledge. If they are to be given the space, if they are to be given the chance to also lead us, you will see them performing even better than some of our leaders who are sitting in the Parliament. They have the knowledge. What am I trying to say here? What am I trying to picture out? Don't be surprised. There are some people in our communities, they are actually taking that initiative. Whenever there is a sitting like this, they are actually sensitizing people on what is currently going on. Have you ever seen people gathering, they are chilling, but there are some people who have knowledge about something, who have that parliamentary knowledge. You always see them discussing with the people, they come up with the points, and this is where the problem is going to be. That's why I'm saying that, not that the leaders who are always sitting there in Parliament, they know better than all of us.
Okay, some people leaving that aside, Benson, as we are running out of time, with already 17 minutes after 8 o'clock, and talking about what's happening nationally, this is in the world of trade. The traders in Kampala already back on strike, also following issues concerning the tax system, which is the IFRIS, also known as the electronic physical receipting and invoice solution, also really, which the traders are saying is quite difficult for them. And the traders already raised the concern of over-taxation through the system, and now they are actually demanding to meet the president, and which president was already planned and settled, but was deferred, and now it has also been pushed to October. Now the traders have gone back on strike. In Kampala right now, most of the shops are closed, with others opening, but that is also having a negative implication. What can you say about the strike by the traders also in Kampala? Do you think this will have an impact to the other parts of the region?
What has the first thing, the first angle I am looking at is what has generated the problem.
The tax system.
The taxation system. Why has it happened? It's all about what we so far called modern technology. You know, modern technology, it comes with its own disadvantages. Like previously, they were actually using the local method, and the problems were not there. You know, me, I always love saying that, yeah, technology is a good thing, modernity is a good thing, and mostly it's all about coping mechanism, whereby you see the other country doing it, or as you see the other organization doing it, or as you see the other party doing it, you will also want to do and implement it, not assessing the repercussions, whether it been in a negative way or whether it been in a positive way. Now, we have seen the negativity part of it. What is only remaining is to see that we address it. Yeah, it's a very good system. We are actually looking for ways of how we can upgrade, how we can be in the same standard with the other countries. But what I want to say is the government, of course, will have to take it slowly, such that you need to first sensitize people about it. You know, the funny thing is, whenever something is implemented, people always talk about the good part of it, the advantages part of it. They don't sensitize masses about the disadvantages part of it. So what they need to do is they will have to address this matter properly, sensitize them about it, such that such kind of scenarios can be eliminated. That's what I can say.
Okay, talking about sensitization, Uganda Revenue Authority came out and said that sensitize the people, but these people are saying it is actually hard for them to use this system, and they needed a system that can be customized and be easier for them to use. But then the government is saying, look, we have been losing a lot of money in terms of paperwork, and with the benefit of this online system, it's actually the benefit of the traders. First of all, your returns are filed without a lot of work. It is actually easier for you to file your returns, because as required, as a taxpayer, you're supposed to be filing your returns, and that is also where exactly how much money you're supposed to be paying is calculated. And remember, government has been losing money in terms of these people who come with paperwork. Sometimes the monies are not remitted.
It's true.
And that is where the local revenue also really has been drawn down. And that's where government of Uganda came up with the e-free system. But the traders are saying it is actually difficult for them to use the system. Benson, what do you think needs to be done? Why do you think it is important for the traders to understand that it is actually the way to go? We cannot run away from digital transformation. We cannot run away from technology. It is actually the way we are moving towards.
It's true. It's all about mindset change. Mindset change, it needs sensitization, which I want to repeat. How do you sensitize the masses or as the traders is one thing they will have to look forward, the angle they will have to talk about. You know, Faris, it's very difficult to drive someone away from what he or she has been doing. Like, you know, systems have been implemented, but they have always come up with they have always generated their own problems, their own disadvantages. And what I want to say in summary about the new system is that, yeah, it's still yet a new system. The traders will understand it. And also the problem is not that all these traders, they are literate. There are some traders who are illiterate. Maybe they are trying to run away from the system. They are trying to strike because they actually don't know how to operate it. They don't know what it is all about. Some of us might be having a negative perception about the system. That's why we continue to say that these people, they really need massive sensitization. Okay. That's what I can say.
This board demanded to meet the head of state, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, that was in a meeting that was supposed to take place yesterday, but we saw it being postponed now to August. And remember, this is not the very first time we are seeing them meeting also the president. In May this year, they met the president, something also that didn't go on well because the meeting ended with many not being contented. But Benson, we are looking also at the issues also pertaining digital transformation, because we can't run from technology. Benson, in this era, people have smartphones, and actually the e-freeze can actually be done through the smartphone, where you can be able to print your receipts and invoices also through that. And that is where government of Uganda feels issues of boosting our revenue. Remember, Benson, today with also the cut in donations and also with the cut also of funding, our budget now has to be funded by us. And that is where the issues of leakages and taxes have to be also avoided. And that is why the government of Uganda has actually come up with a new body that is going to be dealing in corruption also within the tax system in there.
Yeah, still talking about the issue of government coming up with a new body to deal with the issue of corruption. The other time we ended, we have a discussion about here. I came up with a thought that this time they need to come up with a body which consists of youths, youth-related body, because right now you look at the situation in the country, it's actually the youths who are trying to carry the flag of fighting against the corruption. I know if a government can be able to come up with a youth-related body against the issue of corruption, I think that one to a certain percentage it will work out. And still talking about the system of electronic system of paying the taxation, you know, maybe there is a hidden agenda behind that.
Being pushed by who?
We never know, because right now they're only talking about that it comes up with the disadvantages, it's having so many disadvantages, but they have not revealed the disadvantages. They have not revealed the disadvantages.
They are going to talk about disadvantages. What about the advantages that the system is coming with?
Yeah, the
First
system.
of all, it is easier for them to file their returns through the system,
Yeah.
and then you get to identify how much money you're supposed to be paying in terms of taxes. This means are they trying to run away from over-taxation?
You have mentioned them all. In fact, the advantages you have already actually mentioned them all, but the disadvantages they have not mentioned. That's why I'm saying maybe there is a hidden agenda, which of course they have not revealed. Like maybe you have already highlighted from one of the statements I picked from you. Maybe the taxation part of it has gone higher. Maybe they have been overcharged, but they cannot reveal it. But they have only said it flat like that. People are running away from the system. People are running away from the system. Why are they running away from the system? There is a hidden agenda, which of course has not surfaced. But anytime the hidden agenda will come out, because the striking is already going on.
Now areas along Nasser Road, areas like Mukwano Lane, areas in Mukwano Arcade and Benchuanuka streets have remained open, with others yet closing. And according to Isa Sechito, the spokesperson for Kasita, that's the Kampala City Traders Association, they are choosing to close because they want the process to be peaceful without chaos. Is it the right thing to do, and who is affected by the strike? Is it them, or it is the consumers of the goods that go buying these products from them?
I think every party is affected, starting from the government. I should say URA, because this is the border behind taxation. You also go to the consumers, the final consumers, and also the traders themselves. How are they being affected? First of all, the government, that is managed by the border called URA, the revenue will not be going there. Secondly, the final consumers. If the shops are closed, where are they going to get the things? Of course, they will also be affected. What about the traders themselves? They will also be losing a lot in terms of the income they are getting. It comes with numerous disadvantages. What I can only say is they will have to come. All the parties, okay, I should say the two parties, the traders themselves and also the government, they will have to sit down and address the issue.
Okay, talking about that, talking about the ongoing strikes, Benson, right now there is heavy deployment of the military and police, and that is in the street centers, where we are seeing the patrols moving around, and that's something also to help curtail any likely chaos also emerging from the center in there. That's something we are saying. And now the traders, however, are saying that this is only, the strike is aiming to solely help address the issues of foreigners also really operating small businesses solely in the same area with the locals, but disguising as investors in there, because as an investor, Benson, we not expect you to come and open these small shops, what we call tabolias, or these small kiosks. We not expect you to come and operate a kiosk, because this is initially a business that is supposed to be done by a local person. This is where they're also saying they're striking, because this, according to them, is killing their business. Is it right for them to solely push away these foreigners who are coming to solely operate this small business with them? Because I may come from wherever I'm coming from, I wanted to operate a bigger shop, but I don't have the money. All I have allows me to run a small business. Doesn't mean that I have to go back to my country where I'm coming from for other reasons, also really, maybe for business, but I feel I need to earn something.
This one will continue to generate problems. You know, me, I believe that all the people in the world, they are together. You know, we have God blessed us with different hands. What am I trying to say here? What you have in your hand can't be the same amount I am holding in my hand. I don't see any reason for the local people to chase them away, because if they continue to say that this is a business initiative which is supposed to be operated by a local person, what if what the local persons are offering to the consumers is not to the maximum standard. Of course, we need the foreign investors to come. So I don't see any reason for them to strike. First, one thing which gives a clear picture that if we are not serious, something might happen is in the recent days we have just been seeing, hearing about the issues of strikes, protesting here and there. Something, of course, has to be done by the government. I am now turning the angle into the sector of that security. The good thing is we have a strong sector of security, because almost every day you hear there is a protesting, you hear there is demonstration, you hear there is a strike. That means something, of course, will have to be done to see that the situations are calm.
Okay, that is Benson, and he believes dialogue is the way to go. Something has to be done, and that's where I believe the dialogue is quite important. And I believe that is where the meeting with President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni would actually be very much important for the traders who want to meet the president and express their grievances directly to him, and they feel nobody may also really extend their ideas or views maybe to the president, and they feel they need to meet him in person. And that is where the meeting that was scheduled to be taking place at Korolo ceremonial grounds was important, and we are following up on that. And when August comes, hopefully we shall be letting you know how this meeting transpires. And that's where we are going to be taking yet another short commercial break in relation to the ongoing strike by the traders. But we are saying striking may not be right, because at the end of the day, we are all losing. They are losing money in terms of revenue, money that we will be getting. Government is losing money in terms of taxes. And as the consumers, we are going to be seeing price hikes because of issues of hoarding. Because when people see the scarcity, we have people who have tendencies of also hoarding their properties and also keeping them into rooms and later on selling them at expensive prices. And that is also going to be having an implication on the final consumer of the products. We are taking yet another short commercial break, and when we bounce back, we shall be connected to Alfred Jawok, and Benson Osori will be telling us what is happening in the world of sports and many, many other stories. For now, we take this quick important breather and we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
The Miss Uganda 2024 Grand Finale is here! 28 finalists, one crown. On Saturday, 3rd of August at 8 p.m. Sheraton Hotel. True Ugandan beauty will be spiced up with glamour and entertainment from the legendary Maddox Matimba, the popular Abe Kabad and Jackie Chandiru. The show will broadcast live exclusively on Makula Chika on Star Times at 8 p.m. Come, let's celebrate Ugandan beauty. Sponsored by VNA, Alemzed, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Dress Textiles and U Home. Miss Uganda 2024, True Ugandan Beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial break. We are back into the last half of today's discussions. And I'm still with Benson Pastori. And earlier on, we talked about a number of pertinent issues that continue to happen in the country. And on a sad note, in Western Sub-region, we had 77 pupils being struck also already by lightning in there. That's something we did see happening also as well. And we want to connect now to Alfred Jawok to tell us how exactly that happened and how these people are responding. And this is also really in relation to what happens to Nebi, because I do understand that a number of them are now being admitted. That's at Nebi General Hospital. And now let's first connect to Alfred Jawok to also let us know of what exactly happened and what is still happening within that area as an update from that side. Alfred, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, you're live on West Nile TV.
Thank you so much, and many thanks to all our viewers and to you, Farish Majid, and the producers.
Okay.
And indeed, at the moment as I speak, I'm at Nebi General Hospital, where 7 pupils, including a teacher from different schools across the sub-county Nebi district, yesterday on Wednesday afternoon, were struck by lightning during a primary school football and netball competition. And also the pupils have converged for inter-school football and netball competition at Oweko Primary School. However, when I visited the scene, Wilson Odwakashende, teacher of Oweko Primary School, confirms that the pupils were taking shelter in a classroom block following a heavy downpour. You remember yesterday we had a heavy downpour, let me say, in Greater Nebi as a whole. And he also added that some of the 76 injured pupils, including a female teacher of Owelo Primary School identified as Rose Apio, they were rushed to Oweko Health Center 2 and the General Hospital, and even some were taken to Angal, St. Luke Hospital, Angal. And the LC3 chairperson of the sub-county, Honorable Bosco Kwai, revealed that no death has been recorded, but blames most schools in the sub-county for failing to install lightning arresters. And Farish, when you move around in all these schools, most of the schools in rural areas, they don't have lightning arresters. And this may also cause lightning to occur.
Okay.
And let me say, also, some of the 76 injured pupils, including a female teacher.
Yes, I was actually coming to that. How are those kids that were involved in this tragedy responding?
Auntie, they are recovering. As I speak now, with some of the victims at the Nebi General Hospital, as I will proceed to Angal Hospital and Erusi Health Center 3, respectively. There is improvement as I talk now.
Okay. What about the ball games? Did they pause or they will still continue as planned?
No, they halted. No more ball games and netball competition will take place unless maybe we have an announcement from the leadership of the sub-county as far as football or games is concerned.
Okay.
And away from that, and yesterday we did see the members of parliament for Nebi district. They were monitoring and following up the use of 1 billion shillings, that is the road fund. And indeed, the members of parliament, they say they are well convinced that the works on some of the roads are going well, but the roads lack quality maram to be put on the road, so that it connects rural farmers to go to various markets like Erusi, Payani, Kuching, among others.
Okay.
Yesterday, yes.
How has the rains affected the progress on these roads? Because in other areas, we are seeing already the return of the rains are having an impact on the roads that have just been rehabilitated. Is it the same case with what's happening in Greater Nebi?
Of course, you know, raining season also affects, and some of the roads being worked on, they are already being damaged by water flowing because they don't have water drainage. Some roads they don't have marams, though they are still working on the road. But this rainy season is also affecting the progress of the road.
Okay, so maybe finally, how are the locals also responding to the issues of the kind of roads that we are being done in that area? Are the locals saying anything, maybe in terms of the quality, or maybe in terms of weaknesses that could be identified also really as well with the programs?
Farid, I spoke to one of the residents here in a place called Koch. You know, Koch is also an important place where the barracks for SSC is located, and they say the quality of the road may not favor them because some of the culverts have not been installed, and also there is a huge valley has not been constructed, and they're appealing to the district leadership at least to make it a good one so that they can be able to reach where they go and more so to the markets, as I told you before.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Alfred, for those updates, and we keep on following.
And finally, we know the President, His Excellency, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will be here in Nebi.
Yes, and how is the mood like? And that is where we shall be seeing the commissioning of national grid connections. And how are the people of Greater Nebi are waiting for this exercise, which has been waited for over 20 years. Now we are going to be seeing finally the region gets connected to the national grid. How is the environment?
I want to confirm to you, no one is thinking about electricity. Everyone is waiting for answer from His Excellency about the road. Many people whom I spoke to, they don't want maybe issues of electricity, but they want to hear how soon will the road from Nebi, Goli, Paida up to Vura will be worked on. And as I talk now, Farid Majid, if you can see, vehicles are in line just from Nebi General Hospital up to a place called Pawong. Because of this weather, the road is impassable, and these residents, even the leaders, they want to hear from the president how soon they will work on the road.
Yes.
The issues of electricity, for them, they are quiet about it. So we shall wait for the answers. We shall wait what will be there on the start of this month. And I know tomorrow, Friday, the Minister for and also the State Minister for Mineral Development and also State Minister for Energy all will be here in Nebi to commission the hydropower in Nebi District, Uluyo and Kole. So we shall wait for what they will give us as their final answer about it. Many thanks to you, Farid Majid. Many thanks to all our viewers. I remain Alfred Jawok, reporting from Nebi District.
All right, thank you so much, Alfred, for that update. And we also want to thank you as the viewer as well for those comments. Keep them coming. And we are seeing one already also really commenting on the issue pertaining the lighting strike and just praying for quick recovery to those who got injured. And that is already where we did see that happening. Benson, one of the insights that I was able to pick from Alfred is in relation to a demand of the people of Greater Nebi not being electricity. Many are now saying it is the issue of road. And we are seeing the head of state, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, planning to also really reach out the region. That will be on 3rd, and that is also really on Saturday, where we are expecting him to come and also really commission the electricity connection in. But now the people of Nebi, according to information we did get from Alfred, are saying their demand is now road. But most of the areas in Western Sub-region, most of the leaders have actually been tasked on the issue of electricity, and this has been a demand which I believe has been a sole demand of the entire region, because you move to Bongi, issues of power have always been arising. You move to Jumani, issues of power have been arising. Mariokolo, issues of power have been arising. You come to Arua City, issues of power have been coming. You move to Arua District, issues of power have been coming. You move to Maracha, issues of power have been coming. You move to Kawako, issues of power have been coming. So really, don't you think the government has done its part in terms of also really having us connect the region? And now it's time for us to say Asante for the work done. But now the demand keeps on changing. After electricity, we are seeing, or should we say, the focus now must be turned from electricity to now on the road sector. Because really, I've been moving on this road recently. A few days ago, I was in the road district. but the road is really in a deplorable status, and I feel something needs to be done. But that is something also really which we feel government can also really look into maybe later on. But what do you think about it?
Yeah, two things to tackle here: the issue of the power and also the issue of roads, which of course people all need. The business can't be booming when the status of the road they are really nasty, and of course we also need the power. Starting with the issue of power, first, trust me, the issue of power, the fact it remains only very few people are benefiting from the issue of power. Why am I saying this one? Unlike in city areas, unlike in urban areas, but in most of the rural areas, you don't see so many people benefiting out of the power. But maybe those people who are based at the roadsides, maybe these small trading centers, but you go deep in the villages, you don't see people benefiting out of that power. But in urban centers, city centers, yeah, it's booming. People are really enjoying the power, electricity. But in rural areas, you don't see people utilizing power a lot. In relation to the issue of roads, yeah, the issue of roads, people have been singing about the status of the roads all over the region, the road, Koboko, Yumbe, Moyo Road, it has been a concern. Recently, it has been addressed. We are waiting to see when, of course, they will commence with the work. And the focus now turns to Greater Aluru region, where we have seen they are talking about some of the paths linking some of the divisions, some of the sub-counties, some of the districts. Now I think it's all about how, of course, they are going to start working on these things. The fact remains, truly, you talk about the whole of Greater Aluru region, the status of the roads, really very drastic. I think this is something, of course, government will have to prioritize on. Yeah, they are done with the issue of power. The focus will now turn to that. That's the issue of roads. Like they have said, we have seen the people from Greater Aluru region saying that their issue is not the power, their issue is how, of course, soon the issue of roads will be handled. So I am also looking forward to see when, of course, they will start working on the roads, because mostly things to be done with the roads.
But Benson, do you think it is right now that the head of state, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will be coming to the region to commission electricity, which has been one of the demands of most of the leaders from the region for quite over a long period of time. And now we are seeing ourselves being connected to the national grid. Do you think it will be okay? Because if somebody gives you already something, we expect you to say Asante. Is it okay for these people to come out and say, much as you have done this, we are still demanding for that? Does it show how appreciative we are as a region?
You know, the funny thing is, and also the good thing is, whenever the president, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, our father, visits a certain region or as a sub-region like this, people continue to expect a lot from him. You know, development is step by step. Now, government, he's actually the father of the government. He has tackled this one. People are expecting more. The issue of electricity is done. People also want more from him, from the government. As being the father, they also want another thing to be done. They want him to also prioritize in another department. The electricity is done. They want him to shift the focus to the issue of roads. Yeah, they will thank him for what he has done, what is already on ground, what he's coming to commission, but people still expect more from him.
Okay, that is it. That is Benson's own opinion on that. And now, leaving that aside, moving on with the stories, as we are left with about 13 minutes to wind up with today's discussions that will be ushering us into the Airlines and News Bulletin with Fete Manuel. He is already here, and the team is actually well preparing, and also to give you what is happening in the world of Airlines and the Bulletin News Bulletin. And that's sort of where I want to encourage those who know the language to keep waiting, because the team is actually one determined one to also keep you in the know of what's happening in there. But now, as we get to move on with the show, the High Court judge hearing the Iron Sheet scandal also against Karamoja Affairs Minister, that is Agnes Nandutu, has visited the Criminal Investigation Directorate, that's at Chibuli headquarters, on a fact-finding mission, because this issue has been there, and many posts actually talked about the issue of the iron sheets that were meant for the vulnerable of Karamoja, that some people actually took for themselves in there. That's sort of something where we did see Justice Jane Okuo Kajuga on Tuesday, July 31st, visit the premises and verify the availability of the exhibits. These are the iron sheets and the numbers also really which have been gotten in there as well. Do you think it's now time for this matter to be disposed of? Because it has been there in the public domain for quite a long period of time.
Yeah, truly, it has been for a longer period of time. People talking about it. At least in the recent months, it has gone quiet. And now it's floating on the water, but it's not yielding any fruit. I think that should just disrupt it from the discussions, because every time you are talking about it, you don't see the fruit of it. It doesn't yield anything. At least in the recent months, it has gone down, but now it has started surfacing. But we are waiting to see if it will yield any fruit. But if it doesn't yield any fruit in the upcoming months, of course, it will have to be disrupted off.
Okay, that is where we are leaving that aside. Benson has summarized it all. That matter is yet in court, and we may not be able to delve very much into that, because it's a matter that is under investigation, and these allegations and these are yet treated as allegations. We have not to say the person has stolen the iron sheets, but we are saying these are allegations of iron sheets theft marked on the OPM, which is the Office of the Prime Minister, that were meant to go to the vulnerable poor in Karamoja sub-region, but actually some people are said to have used the iron sheets to also really do their own things, but we are leaving that aside. Now moving on, government unveils reduced driving permit also for motorbikes. Benson, do you know anybody in Arua City who has a riding permit? Have you encountered one in Arua City? In your honor, be open. Me, I've never seen personally anybody with a riding permit. But you see the borders.
You know, it is to be done with the riding of motorcycles. Even a kid can ride. A kid can ride. You know, it's when riding, not now driving permits. Now riding permits, I should say like that. I think government is trying to come up with so many things. Some of these things will work out. Some of these things, of course, will not work out. And people will continue to look at some of these things as something which, of course, they cannot concentrate on. But the fact remains, based on the question you have asked me of whether I've ever seen a rider with a riding permit, the fact remains, no, even me personally, as a journalist, I don't have a riding permit. Even these kids, if the government is supposed to come up with if they are saying that every rider should be having a riding permit, will it work out? Will people implement it? How will people see it? Me, I will conclude by saying that people will see it as a boring thing.
Okay, this is the riding permit for those who are riding border, and now Waiswa Bagea, the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Works and Transport, has announced the new fees for the category of A1 and B1. That is also classes in the statement that is dated July 31st. That is going to be for the border riders, and the Class A permits will cover motorcycles with no seated cars, and Class A will be going for motorcycles with the cubic capacity not exceeding, that's 125 cc, and Class B1 will also be designated motorized tricycles, and these are the tukutukus who will also be having riding permits. And this is actually where I felt the permits must be a must for them, because looking at the tukutuku riders, those ones who ride the raksas in the road,
exactly,
really, you'll be able to realize that permits will actually be well for them. And in my own opinion, I really want to say I needed this thing yesterday, because we see young people being the ones riding the raksas, and at the end of the day, we see them also really causing accidents. The way they're riding sometimes endangers the lives of the citizens, and that is why the issues of issuance of licenses will be okay for me. And that is where, if at all we spare that about the border riders, to me, this of raksa and tukutuku should not be spared, because
exactly, that was the point I was coming to talk about it. Maybe raksas and also tukutukus.
Because I think these are little cars. These are little cars.
These are mini cars, but maybe the local riders who are using the common motorcycles, I think for them they can be left like that. But the raksas, you have actually summarized the analysis about it, how recklessly they are. The mini cars, they earn a lot. So, unfortunately, ironically, the hypocritical part of it is they are actually, I don't know, me, I should say they are drivers. They are driven by young people, young boys. I think for them, they deserve that.
Okay, that is where the issue of licenses is quite important. We are not also really attacking anybody, but we are saying most riders of the raksas and tukutukus do not respect the road. You see these young boys riding at terrible speeds. You see them moving also in areas where they're not supposed to be moving at that speed. But we see them also moving on. And that is where I needed this law yesterday, and I needed this riding permits actually yesterday for them, because government needed to also arrest them in these traffic operations as they're arresting cars. These poor fraxers needed to be checked, and that is where now we want to encourage each and everybody, be it about the rider who is riding maybe Bajat or Senke, we need the permit, because as you're doing that, government also is coming up, and that is where at the end of the day, the laws may also catch up with you, but that's also where we're now saying the costs have been reduced, and they need to take advantage of that. And as we are running with that, and remember URA is running another promotion that has been extended for yet another 3 months. That is in terms of registering motorcycles. Benson, we still see numberless motorcycles on our roads. Amidst the 6 months period that elapsed, now we have seen another 3 months extension that will be running until September. But we still see young people, young adults not taking advantage of what we call the half-price registration exercise, which is being rolled out by URA for Western Sub-Region. Imagine, for Western Sub-Region, following the bad incidents that happened around January 4th, where we lost people, and now URA came out, and actually one minister, that is in the names of General Duties, that Henry Musasi directed in an engagement that happened in a rural city here, that URA should halt operations for a 6 months period, where people with numberless motorcycles should not be also impounded. And that is where we did see them also being given a grace period of 6 months to have their motorcycles registered at half price. If at all the motorcycle is 1 million, 1.2, let's say, they would be required to pay around 700 plus the charges that would go around 830. But we still see people not taking advantage of that. What does this tell about our Ugandan citizens?
You know, first, there are two things I'm looking at as far as that issue is concerned. First of all, maybe people have found it difficult to raise that amount of money to work on their number plates. Secondly, it's also the perception, the ideology they are possessing. Maybe they feel that, you know, most of the border riders, they are youths. You know, most of the youths, sorry to say this, others are stubborn. Others are stubborn. They are like that. Maybe they feel comfortable riding the motorcycles minus having the number plates. They are comfortable of that. You know, if the government keeps on extending the period like this, they will feel comfortable. And there are some people who have ever bought motorcycles and they have ever enjoyed it up to the end, minus even working on the number plate, fixing the number plate. Now, if the government is extending the period like this, of course, the youths, the border riders, who are mostly youths, they'll feel comfortable. Don't be surprised if some of them will not work on it. But truly, the fact remains, there are some who have failed to raise the amount of money. My advice to them is, yeah, the period has been extended. What you only need to do is, of course, you need to acquire a number plate for your motorcycle. Because me, I will say that by the time these people, they will be back on the road. If maybe they pick your motorcycle, me, I will not source anything, but because they have already extended the period for you. So, as being a border rider there, you are a youth. Of course, you need to go. Firstly, the fact is, you look at the percentage. Most of the border riders, they are youth, but most of the people who are riding the motorcycles.
What about the owners of these motorcycles? We are saying the owners shouldn't wait for URA to return on the road. We must take advantage of these remaining days, because likely, Benson, we may see danger, because we saw 6 months and now we are seeing another 3 months being added, and people are still not picking lessons from that. And by the time URA will return, we shall be able to tell the stories that is also to you. And this is where I want to encourage the people riding motorcycles who are numberless and which are still not having the number plates. The owners of these motorbikes must make sure that they take advantage of these 3 months. At least we avoid rifts. We must also avoid making that URA look very bad, because sometimes we see URA being painted that very much bad image, and today we look at URA as enemies. Yet we could avoid some of these activities, and that's where respect for one another is very much important. Benson, today, now to leave that discussion aside, today we shall be seeing the return of the games just in 2 minutes as we're running out of time, and this is netball and also really football for the primary schools also really.
Yeah, exactly. That's something everyone has been waiting for, and if you are a fan of soccer sports, and truly the ball games for Central Division in Arua City, they are commencing today, both the netball and also the football. After here, we'll be spreading our wings in different venues to follow these ball games, and also in 30 seconds, me, as a soccer pundit, I don't feel okay when I don't give people what some of the latest updates in the world of transfer, when actually it is a busy season in the world of transfer, starting in Ugandan football. I can confirm to you, Ibrahim Juma right now has already come back to the country to play for KCI. I'm talking about Casasiro Boys after ending his long spell with a team that's in Spain rather, called Leganes, and also at the same time Unity Centum will also returning back to that's Vipers. And in Europe, Jokeres, of course, has already agreed personal terms with the team of Arsenal in order to sign for the Gunners, and West Ham they're in advanced talks with the player Fulcrack and also the club is playing for right now, Dortmund, in order to lure his services. Those are the latest breaking stories. We feel, of course, we don't need to leave out.
Okay, more details to that will be coming through on the Whistle Time from 2 to 3 p.m. Owen Ezaga together with Linda Suzy will be here. And with that, we come to the end of today's discussions. I've been Farish Majid together with Oraku Benson Pastore, and we shall be back again tomorrow for the same program and on the same day for the final edition, where we shall be discussing on issues that continue to happen in the country. And that's where Benson really first paint us on me. What does this tell about our on and out back movements of our Ugandan players?
You see,
we see people crossing and others coming back. What does that tell really before we get to close with today's discussions?
That has been a discussion which has always been on the table for several times. I will say in summary, Ugandan players, they have failed to sign in diaspora. That's what I can say. So we need to look for the reason as to why they cannot sign there, why they are always coming back.
But we saw players like Ibrahim Sekaja, we saw players like David Obua doing it. What is happening to the new generation?
In terms of percentage, only I should say only 3%.
Okay, that is it. We come to the end of today's discussions, and up next is the news bulletin in Lubarati with Fete Emmanuel. My name remains Farish Majid, and today I've been with Oraku Benson Pastore. Have yourselves a good day, and we shall be bouncing back tomorrow for the same program, same day, same channel, and same everything. We sign out.